Today we're simplifying the kit of Velina. This is a shortened version of my full how to play guide. Velina is our first S-rank Wind Anomaly agent. She's an off-field DPS who will build full energy regen because from her core passive, Velina will convert initial ER into bonus damage and Anomaly mastery. We need to understand a new Wind Anomaly for Velina's kit. Filling the Wind Anomaly gauge will trigger Windswept for 30 seconds. The first non-wind attribute to hit the Windswept foe will contaminate them, causing the foe to take 10% increased direct damage. When you apply a different anomaly onto Windswept, it will trigger Vortex instead of Disorder, and Windswept will not be removed. Instead of trading two anomalies back and forth, Velina will inflict Windswept, and then for the next 30 seconds, you want allies with different anomalies to trigger Vortex as much as possible. Velina will still be contributing to the fight from off-field. When Velina triggers Vortex, she gains 1 Windbite point and summons a condensed Cyclone. When Velina has 2 Windbite, the next Vortex will consume them to buff its damage and summon a much larger Sweeping Cyclone. To clarify, the Cyclones are coming from Velina, they are not part of the Wind Anomaly itself. Velina's Cyclones will inflict Wind Anomaly from off-field, and the Sweeping Cyclone can trigger Windswept off-field as well. When the Sweeping Cyclone hits a contaminated foe, it will match its attribute. It does not directly inflict anomaly of that attribute, but it does lower the foe's butt of resistance to that attribute. When Velina's Cyclones dissipate, they will also inflict Windbloom damage with set damage multipliers. To summarize, after inflicting Windswept, Velina wants her allies to trigger Vortex over and over. Every Vortex creates a Cyclone, and every third Vortex spawns the bigger Sweeping Cyclone. These Cyclones inflict Wind Anomaly from off-field, can lower the foe's butt of resistance to other attributes, and trigger blooms when they end. More Vortexes means more Cyclones, which equals more blooms. For an active role in combat, Velina will use Windbloom, which is the gauge on the left side of her resource bar. Velina can have a max of 135 Windbloom and will enter battle with 45 points. Using an EX special will grant 45 Windbloom. These weird values are because Velina's EX specials also cost 45 energy. Her first EX special, Purifying Rise, is a basic wind projectile. If you save 90 energy, you can tap special twice to use Purifying Rise and then chain into the second EX special, Triple Death Blow. 2 EX specials will grant 90 Windbloom. With that amount, you can hold basic attack to do Eye of the Storm. This move summons a Sweeping Cyclone on demand and triggers a backwards quick assist. To simplify all of this, Velina can just wait till she has 90 energy, then hold special. She will use her 2 EX specials, gain 90 Windbloom, and then cast Eye of the Storm. If you already have 45 Windbloom, Velina will instead use only 1 EX special before starting Eye of the Storm. Velina's additional ability requires an anomaly or wind agent. This will buff the Sweeping Cyclone's build-up res reduction effect, its days inflicted, and its own wind anomaly build-up. Velina will also buff all Windswept and Vortex damage by 10%. Last, Velina's ultimate will trigger a Windbloom on Windswept foes. On top of the Bloom damage, Velina's ultimate also triggers a backwards quick assist. It deals a ton of anomaly buildup if you need to reapply Windswept. Velina has a couple ways to start a fight. In sheer defense, you have enough energy to use 1 EX special, then Eye of the Storm to spawn Sweeping Cyclone. The Sweeping Cyclone can group small mobs, apply Wind Anomaly, and if you defeat a foe, the Cyclone's duration is extended by 5 seconds. In Deadly Assault, I like to buff up with my support and start building up my second anomaly. You can then use Velina's defensive assist follow-up to inflict a good amount of anomaly, chain that into 1 EX special plus Eye of the Storm, and the Sweeping Cyclone should be able to trigger Windswept from off-field. For the rest of the fight, all Velina needs to do is reapply Windswept every 30 seconds. This is fairly easy as long as you're constantly triggering Vortexes with your second anomaly agent. For builds, Velina wants initial energy regen for her core passives, bonus damage, and anomaly mastery. To get the max buffs, you need 2.88 initial ER. To hit this, you need a 60% ER S-rank W engine, a 60% ER disc in Partition 6, and a 20% ER 2-piece set. Using an A-rank W engine will still be a good option, but Velina is also manageable without any ER W engine. It's not 100% needed. For her signature, Doyadori gives Velina that 60% ER main stat along with 70 AP. Using EX specials will buff Windswept and Vortex damage plus gives the team 60 AP. It's extremely good for helping her teammates take advantage of Vortex. For other S-rank W engines, anything that buffs attack, AP, or anomaly mastery / build-up rate is fine. You could also use Fusion Compiler for pen ratio since Velina can cast 3 EX specials with her 90 energy hold special combo. For A-rank options, there's a new version 3.0 event W engine called Boisterous Echoes. It grants 75 AP, 18% damage, and triggering Vortex grants 3.2 energy every 10 seconds. Boisterous Echoes is tailored for Velina, but you can run the other craftable or battle pass options. Electro Lip Gloss should always be active, and Weeping Gemini will continue to be a very strong AP stacking pick. If you need more energy, go with Boisterous Echoes, or try a non-anomaly 50% ERW engine. Technically, these will grant more energy than Boisterous Echoes, and they grant bonus damage and Anomaly Mastery via the core passive. For Drive This main stats, Velina can use Anomaly Proficiency Petition 4, Wind Damage % Attack or Pin Ratio Petition 5, and then Energy Regen Petition 6. We're going full Energy Regen for the core passive, so use a 2-piece Wind and Lullaby or Swing Jazz. For 4-piece sets, Velina can easily activate all the effects from the new Wuthering Salon. 10% wind damage, and using 2 EX specials will grant 50 AP along with 18% general damage. For teams, Velina is an off-field Anomaly DPS that enables the new Vortex playstyle. It requires a second Anomaly agent who you want to place before Velina due to her backwards quick assist. Velina lowers build-up resistance for any attribute, while Yuzuha inflicts build-up for any attribute. Yuzuha is already the premier Anomaly support, so naturally these two are the best duo for pretty much any Vortex team. Your last slot can go to almost any other Anomaly agent. For physical, Jane can cause Vortex to crit, Alice's Polarity Assaults will still trigger Vortex, and Piper's the A-rank option for players without many limited options. Premiere and Aria will inflict a ton of Windblooms, plus Premiere buffs all of Blooms anyway, so she's exceptionally good with Velina. For electric squads, Grace will buff electric vortexes, Rena's 3-second shock extension also buffs vortex damage, and Unagi can still trigger Polarity Disorders, albeit it's a bit weaker. For supports, any team attack buffers will work, such as Zhao, Suna, Astra, or Lucy. You can also use Rena or Nicole for lowering enemy defense. For non-standard picks, Bernice will still work. Miyabi will get no disorders from her Shimotsuki stacks, but she's not banned from Wind Anomaly teams entirely. Nangong will not activate Velina's addition ability, but she's so strong you can kinda just brute force it. Last, from Hoyoverse themselves, they recommend Velina for the upcoming Ramiel. We know nothing about Grandma Dan's class or kit, but I have high expectations for one of the OG Void Hunters. Velina will be a very good off-field Anomaly DPS, so she's going to be nice to have in general. As the new gimmick for Season 3, the Wind Anomaly will for sure be very prominent for the next year. Velina should be valuable for quite a while. If you want to learn more about the Wind Anomaly and some extra tips for Velina, check out the full How to Play guide. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.